We got some great news for AEW, and we're going to talk about an AEW star who was released, who is now teasing their WWE debut, and so much more. It's coming up right here on The Ango Show. Yes. All right, guys, I want to kick things off with Cameron Grimes. We know that he left WWE. We know that he was released by the WWE, and we know that he does have some big future plans. So let's talk about it. He was on the K&S WrestleFest virtual signing. Just a lot of great insight, honestly, from his virtual signing. He says, a lot of it was timing. It was poor timing. But the beauty of the business is that it never ends. There's never an off season. There's 52 weeks a year that there's going to be television being produced for wrestling. It went from being 2 shows a week to now being 5 shows a week. So chances are, out of the 250 shows in the next year that will be on live television, I'm sure you'll end up seeing me somewhere again at some time. So it's unfortunate, but it helps build that story. That's where it all is. It's all pieces that build that story. Whenever I do make it back, it'll mean even more. Then what's really interesting is how he talks about his situation with WWE and how, obviously, his experience. He says, I'll definitely be somewhere. I don't have any doubt in that. I did have some doubt in that when leaving WWE, but I definitely think that getting back into it, I'm going to be able to get back into that mindset. I already did the hardest part. The hardest part is getting there, not getting back. The hardest part is getting there for the first time. Even if I never get back there, I've accomplished a lot. But let's say that I'm going to get back there. Even if I don't get back there, I'll be somewhere else and I'll be able to elevate myself to a status that I want to do there. It doesn't matter wherever I'm going to go, I'm going to do that. So he's not even shutting down the idea of potentially going back to WWE, but he remains very confident that he might go somewhere else that is live television. And there's rumors that Cameron Grimes could be a big part of Ring of Honor or AEW. There's even rumors that he could be headed back to TNA. Obviously, these are great signs for the guy. This guy's a freaking amazing talent, right? And it always kind of mind boggled me a little bit that WWE didn't actually utilize him when he got called up to the main roster, because he does the character stuff. He's a really good wrestler, but he's really good with the character. He got over, that was the thing. He got over in NXT. And this is one of those rare situations. Like, timing was probably a big part of it, right? Like, Cameron Grimes was called up under Vince McMahon, didn't do much. Everybody thought, hey, when Triple H is in power, this guy is definitely getting a push. That didn't happen. So it's really interesting, and it is slightly weird, but the good thing is we have a healthy wrestling industry where this could all work out in the end. I definitely expect to see him on TV soon. I definitely do. I think any company who signs him will be very lucky to have the guy. All right, Jose, the assistant, put out a tweet, and this one, I like it. I like it a lot. We know he's going potentially so many different places. There's, we've heard of stuff about him being backstage at TNA. Now he says in this tweet, and it's a very clear tease to NXT, he says, time ticks away, but it only brings one step closer to what is next. I can wait, but how soon is soon? Listen, guys, I've said it so many times on my channel. Jose, the assistant, was like really awesome as a manager. I loved his work in AEW. I can see him going to WWE and NXT. I do see him in a managerial role, and maybe that's largely due to the fact that I'm more familiar with his work as a manager, but also at the same time too, we know he was backstage at TNA at one point and he was visiting friends there. You never know. Maybe he shows up in TNA as well, but he's obviously teasing NXT. I think it's a great thing to tease NXT, and quite frankly, I think NXT would benefit from bringing him in. NXT is a brand where you got a lot of people learning and developing. You have a lot of people who could benefit from having a mouthpiece. This is a guy who does it extremely well. He can also take bumps. There's a lot of value in that. Now, if he wants to wrestle, like I said, I'm not too familiar with his in-ring work, because a lot of the exposure that I got to him was obviously in AEW as a manager. But if he's a good wrestler, why not, right? But yeah, for sure, I want to see him more in a managerial capacity. I think there's a lot of talent who could benefit from that in NXT, and that makes it very exciting. It also makes me bring up Rey Fenix, because we do know that Rey Fenix is You know, he's in a very interesting time period right now because his deal expires sometime within the next few months, at least according to Fightful Select. There's no words on where things currently stand, but he has reportedly had offers extended to him. There is an expectation from Fightful that he will have offers from WWE. We know that Penta is also rumored to go to WWE. So then you have to wonder, do they maybe have plans for Rey Fenix to come to WWE? And maybe he jumps over to WWE. Maybe he jumps over with Penta to WWE and they go in as a tag team. And maybe Jose, the assistant, is, you know, the guy that ends up going in there as maybe a mouthpiece. I don't know. We don't know if it's going to be a collective thing, but I think it's always a cool thing when you hear of contract news, especially Rey Fenix, super incredibly talented. I will be the first to admit, I would expect Penta to go to WWE, and I would expect Phoenix to stay in AEW. I think that would probably be the most realistic and logical prediction. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. You never know. That's like literally the beauty of free agency. You literally just never know what's going to happen. So in my opinion, this is something to get excited about because anything could literally happen. Rey Fenix is great. Penta is great. We know we've talked about Penta so many times on this channel, potentially going to WWE. Who knows what will happen? But yeah, seriously, it's good to be excited about stuff like this because anything could legit happen. And that's going to bring us to our final topic of today's video. Some great news for AEW. You guys know when I talk about WWE in this same type of situation, you just have to realize how happy I am that AEW gets this benefit. This week, the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, announced over $35 million in state tax credits for various film, television, and Broadway projects. Among the 17 entities benefiting from these credits, AEW is the only wrestling promotion included, which will be receiving a substantial $1.275 million in tax credit. And obviously, there's a lot of optimism about AEW coming in here. But this is something that's really huge because we talk about WWE being paid by tourism boards to come and bring their pay-per-views to certain cities or countries. And now, you know, we're starting to see AEW get incentivized for bringing their events to certain cities or countries. And I just think that is such a huge win. Like, let's not talk about creative. Let's not talk about booking. Let's not talk about the physical TV show. Just the notion that governments are willing to incentivize wrestling companies to be where they are and to put on a show for their residents. That's huge. Like, I don't know the exact cost breakdown it is for a wrestling show to be produced, but I'm going to assume it's about $500,000 or more. I think that's a safe guess. Tony Khan pays a lot of money out of pocket to produce television. So if you have great TV deals, that obviously pays great money, and that's fantastic. But if you can get an incentive from a local government to bring your show there, that's a huge win. And for the most part, we were only seeing that for the WWE. And I said in those videos, it would be a really good thing if other wrestling companies could get the same advantages. Now, obviously, there's going to be a difference in money and stuff because, you know, WWE's value and AEW's value is not necessarily neck and neck. But my point that I'm making is they're getting incentivized. This helps lessen the blow. And if anything, it just makes room for some really good stuff for AEW because then they could spend their money differently. Just really dope. Really great news. AEW in Cleveland, great incentive. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.